Nancy, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. Before we dive into our discussion, I'd love to start with getting to know you a little bit better. In your role as Managing Director and Head of Treasury Solutions at Texas Capital, can you share a little bit more about yourself and the work you lead there?
Great. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for letting me be a spokesperson for what I think is just an incredible addition to our payments rail here. So, Texas Capital Bank, I've been at Texas Capital Bank about 5.5 years, joined back in 2021. I do have a long history in banking and really part of a transformation team, really, here at Texas Capital. My role specifically is along the Treasury Solutions side of the business. And so when you think of that, think of all the payment rails, think of all the collections tools, things, product that we do, obviously our risk, the part of the business, and obviously how we're going out and talking to our clients and our prospective clients. When you're in Treasury, you're also in funding. You're in funding the institution. That's a big part of Treasury Solutions. We obviously bring funding to the firm as well as the ability to be create that client intimacy that I think we're all looking for as we fight more and more for relevance among the fintechs and others. So I think that it's funding for Texas Capital, it's the product delivery, it's being with our clients and our prospective clients, and really delivering the entire platform that's Texas Capital. So I came here very specifically to build a treasury platform for Texas Capital.
Oh, outstanding. All right. Well, it sounds like you've already made a big impact there. So tell us about Texas Capital. Who are your clients? What pain points did you identify that the FedNow service could help resolve?
Great. Well, Texas Capital is in the world of banking, we're not the oldest by far. We're about a 25, 26-year-old bank founded here in Dallas, Texas. We're about $34 billion total assets. And our client base is really segmented. We segmented our business banking client. We have our traditional middle market client that we cover by region. So we have 5 offices here in the state of Texas. Then, of course, we have our national vertical. So we cover a myriad of industries, really coast to coast. So if you think about those verticals, it's healthcare, it's treasury, I mean, technology, media, telecom, it's our energy business, of course, our diversified group. And we do have again, those national verticals, and that certainly includes our commercial real estate group, our home builder group, and things in the real estate segment. So that's
Mhm.
Texas Capital. Really, we're a wholesale financial services firm headquartered here in Texas. And I think one of the more unique things about Texas Capital is we have a full service investment bank. So, as part of the transformation back in January 21 and moving forward into 22 and 23, we stood up literally from the scratch, if you will, a full service investment bank where we offer all types of capital solutions for our clients. We have public finance, and again, many offerings that you would see really in a traditional New York style global investment bank. So we're a wholesale bank, we're a retail bank, and we have a very full service investment bank as well. Kind of a different animal, but one that we're extremely proud of.
I would be too. I mean, one of the things that you mentioned about your various industries and kind of strategies that you're working through, so many of those are in a dynamic, fluid state, right? They're really evolving themselves. Healthcare, there's a lot going on there. Energy is a ton. Investments, there's so many dynamic. It's such a dynamic space where they're really looking at how everything, right? How they engage with the market, and including payments themselves. So it's quite interesting to hear that. So thank you for that. So as you came into instant payments, what drove your decision to begin actively sending transactions with FedNow, and how does the FedNow service help Texas Capital meet your strategic business objectives?
Well, again, as I said, our strategic business objective is to be relevant to our clients to help them meet their day to day needs. So, as you think about where payments has evolved, we knew we had to be on the FedNow system. Instant payments is absolutely uh, the way that our clients need to interact in many, many different scenarios. We obviously still process checks. We are an ACH bank, clearly. Checks, wires, but ACH doesn't capture the 24/7, 365 that we needed. Our clients are moving to compete globally and certainly nationally, and they have to be able to compete on a 24/7 basis. So, as we were thinking about how do we maintain and become even more relevant to our clients, we knew we had to be 24/7. We knew we had to give them the capabilities to compete globally, compete locally. And without having an offering in the instant payment space, we simply were going to lose relevance to our clients. And that is obviously not what we're here to do. So the solution needed to be delivered, and the FedNow opportunity, again, great partnership with the Fed. And it was just something we knew that we needed to do. As you think about how we're delivering this service using APIs, et cetera, you really have to think it is a critical part of what we have to do on the payment side.
Excellent. So, what use cases have you targeted for instant payment transactions? What does your roadmap look like? What's up next for near term and versus maybe a little bit further out?
Okay, well, I would think it's really important to know that we are both a send and a receive. So I think most
Mhm.
people are receive. Everybody takes money, right? Everybody loves that. But we felt it's really important to be a send institution as well. And again, the use cases are varied. But I mean, you have payroll. I mean, as simple as payroll when you need termination or emergency payments,
Mm.
earned wage access. If you think about the gig economy, that's really important to us. It's really employee reimbursement as well. If you have people out on the road and they need to have reimbursement immediately, this is a way to do that. I think it's also a real benefit, and we think it gives our clients the ability to be ultra competitive paying commissions. Think about a real estate closing on a Saturday. If you can deliver that commission to a agent or someone who's on commission on Saturday, that helps our clients to be even more competitive in what's already a very competitive space. So, those are just some of the things that we've thought of. Insurance claim payout. Anytime we think our clients are trying to distinguish themselves, by being really there for their client, their end user, or as they seek to be again differentiated, I think the instant payment network was critical to us. So that's some of the things that we've done. We've looked at all these and we've used some of them. And again, that's all on the send side. Now, certainly on the receive side, it like I said, everyone will take the money, right?
I like that. What's interesting to me about the use cases that you just went through there, you did talk about some edge cases, like some exceptions to payroll or things like that. But what you really rapidly moved into was here's how we can enable our clients to be competitive in their space and how we can enable them to do their day-to-day business activity. I don't think there's any news around an exceptional behavior around real estate commission, but what a powerful story that is for your customers to be able to say, hey, this is what we offer and such a competitive advantage there. So I really like that you um, went through some exceptions to be sure,
Right.
but really thinking about how can you distinguish yourselves? How can your customers distinguish themselves using payments? So quite interesting there. Now, your go-to-market strategy was quite interesting. So when you launched FedNow, I would be curious to hear more about your market engagement and what strategies you might share with us about that.
I think when we looked at instant payments and FedNow, we knew that we had to educate not only our clients, but we also had to educate our own firm.
Mm.
Again, this is something, so we took really a three-pronged approach to this. We have a fully developed intranet site that is all about instant payments. How does FedNow work? What are some of the use cases? What does this mean? Including the fact that if your client chooses to send an instant payment Saturday morning at 10 a.m., that money is gone. I think we have to be we have to provide education to our partners across the firm. So whether it's an investment bank or a commercial bank or whatever, we had to do an education job because I think most of our industry thinks of us as Monday through Friday, Fed cutoff times, which is great. Wires always have a place, right? So we had to do an internal education. So if you were a Texas Capital employee, you would see a fully developed internal website that tells you what this is, how to use it, how to think about it. It's a good funds model, etc. So we did that education. Then we had to go out and really talk to clients and talk to them about what are your pain points? What are you not getting done that would help you be more competitive? So we've done a lot of, I mean, we've done the traditional going out with pitch books, which all bankers are very guilty of. We've done that, but we've also been very active in doing what we call our Treasury Innovation Luncheons. So we host luncheons. We get our clients, and this has been probably the most impactful thing that we've been able to do, get clients who actually use the instant payment rails now, the FedNow services now, to talk about how it changed their business and
Oh, wow.
specifically talk about how they brought that into their organization. Because our clients don't think about payments 24/7 like we do. They are worried about AI, they're worried about tariffs, they're worried about what's going on globally. So having them speak to other operators, business owners, clients of any type, about how they brought that into their organization and talked about, hey, payments are going to change from a Monday through Friday thing to a 24/7 opportunity for us. And we talk about it as being an opportunity. So we've brought in speakers that have included our own clients. And I will tell you, 90% more impactful than me standing up talking about it. And then, of course, we participate in the local AFPs, and we go to the conferences, and we are always trying to speak about this. But so internal, one-on-one with clients, certainly getting our clients to speak about how it's really given them an opportunity to be competitive, and then of course being active in the associations that promote payments around the state and around the nation.
And, isn't that exciting to hear from your customers and having them share their story? Because you've learned so much about what's going on in their world and what was really the priority and the impact. You may thought, oh, it's this. And then you hear from them and you're like, wow, that I did not see that coming. There's so many exciting things there. And I think you're right. It's 100% hearing from their peers can be so compelling and powerful, and such a game changer in the room where people start to imagine, hey, what would I do with instant payments? So that is exciting to hear.
Well,
And
and
I
to
also
hear
love that
how
you.
they overcame the obstacles, because you can imagine in a traditional business, or in even if it's a startup, gig economy business, their CFO, the CEO is not used to hearing the words, we're going to make a payment with finality, real time gross settlement right here on Saturday morning. So let's understand what that means for us. And so I think having that from a CFO talking about how he or she worked with their finance committee, their AP department, their AR department, their CEO, even their board. That's the powerful message that a client can deliver that uh, I can't.
Right, right. And it sounds like even within those conversations, as you've been having these and hosting these events over time, it sounds like even the conversations with your businesses have changed and evolved and how they think about this from an exceptions into more mainstream. And I wonder if you could share, how you've helped your business customers understand the different ways that FedNow and Instant Payments can help them address their needs.
Yeah, again, I think what we tried to do is explain to them how the system actually works. And I have to throw in a fun fact here. One of our product managers, he is actually the product manager for instant payments, was actually at the Atlanta Fed on July 23rd, the day the first instant payment went through.
Is that
Now,
right? I
was
love
that
it.
okay? Are
That's
we not meant to
wonderful.
be in this business or what? So, this individual, he's a great guy. We're delighted he's on our team. But we were talking about this. He said, Nancy, I was actually there at the Atlanta Fed where this actually happened on that date in July. So I said, well, clearly Texas Capital was meant to be in this space. That wasn't your question at all. But I will tell you, it's having people who speak payments. And we do think of payments as a real pillar of Texas Capital. And when we say payments, we're talking about, the day to day ins and outs of Treasury. And so when we talk to our prospective clients as well as our clients, we do try to start with what's the problem you're trying to solve. And if you think about the businesses we're in, so let's take oil and gas. Think about if you've got a rig drilling offshore that is a day rate business, meaning you get charged for every hour that rig's out there. If you need a part and things offshore or onshore break down, right? If you need someone to deliver, fly out via a helicopter or a plane or drive it out, they typically want to get paid before they show up. So if you
Right.
have an emergency, and again, you said that I don't really even consider that an exception. I consider
Right.
that a contingency payment. opportunity for my clients.
Mhm.
And so if you think about how the world is going 24/7, and we can all talk about energy. I'm from Texas, so we follow that obviously religiously. So it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. You really have to be ready. And I think the other thing that we've talked about with instant payments and FedNow particularly is the ability to provide resiliency. Everybody talks about resiliency, how are we going to keep the lights on? How are we going to keep the workforce safe? How are we going to pay for these things that we've got to have? And so I think we talk about it as a part of a really well thought out resiliency plan, as well as, hey, wouldn't it be cool to say this, that you have this and use it as a marketing advantage? How about it's just really good business practice as we all think about contingency and being ready to operate our businesses appropriately with great thought. And I think contingency is one of those great aspects of FedNow.
Mhm. You've really touched on some interesting use cases and how it has changed. You've talked about mainstream, you've talked about resiliency, which I think is a really standout point to kind of think through. And I love that your approach to go to market was what's a problem we're trying to solve. And then what is fit for purpose to solve that problem? Because not every, it's like ACH works a treat. There's no reason to reinvent that wheel, but
Right.
sometimes it doesn't. And
Right.
sometimes you need more flexibility. Or in the case of, wanting to fly supplies out, so you need it right now. And supply chain friction is still there. It's
Oh,
still a thing. And I think there's lots of use cases around that are interesting. And so I love these real world use cases that you've shared with us. That's excellent. Um, any noted shifts in how your customers use instant payments the longer they're on the service? So as you see a particular customer come in and start to use it, how is it evolving? And what do you think triggers that evolution? Is there something there that we can glean from?
my experience is this: clients start by dipping their toe in. It's an exception. Oh my, are we going to do this? Should we do this? How do we do this? So we do talk about being prepared, even if you don't think you're going to need it. So clients will start. My experience is clients will start with that exception. Okay, we got to do this. We're going to do it one time. Oh my gosh, we're sending $8 million. What should we, or $2 million? What should we do here? And then they see that it really is, in seconds that something has happened. You know that it's irrevocable. You know that anywhere in the US you can affect this payment. And so then you start thinking about, well, okay, we did that, it worked. Now what else, what other businesses could we drive? And especially when we're trying to get to consumers, right?
Mhm.
We know that the Zelle network is not B2C, right? It really isn't. So we know that this is a way to get to the consumer. We know that this is a way to, for your first, when you establish a new vendor relationship. Look, after you've been doing business with somebody for 20 years, you can send a different kind of payment, but to establish that new relationship, a lot of times it's cash on the barrelhead, even if it's Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. So,
Right.
you don't wanna send a wire, but they wanna know you're good for it. So, I think they dip their toe in, then they think, "Well, this could work," and then they see more and more use cases. But look, I'm not telling anybody to change their ACH batch payroll on the 1st and 15th. Batch has a big place still in payments,
Mhm.
and it's good. It's good. So, we do like that, and we wanna be using this appropriately, and I think that clients dip their toe in, they see what it could do for them, they come up with ideas to differentiate themselves, so it's usually no one jumps in full bore. I have not seen that. So, I think that, the client has to have a good experience, so that's where we come in to try to make sure they do have a good experience, that they understand that they can see it on their side as well as the receiver can see it on their side. So they dip their toe in and then they start getting creative.
Such a great perspective there. And I think that sounds right. I mean, I think just as financial institutions are taking baby steps to come into the network, so are their end customers. Like, let's just try it, see how it goes. What are we learning? Oh, now this opens up more and more opportunities. So,
100%.
Nancy,
All right.
I have really enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us and share your experience on the FedNow service. We're really looking forward to this. So, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It's been a great pleasure, and we have really enjoyed our interaction with the Fed and the opportunity to deliver FedNow to our clients.